Okay, I'm going to try this again. In this video, we're going to set up a domain controller, create a couple of organizational units, create an admin user, disable the admin account, join a computer to the domain. I've already created this video once, and I made a mistake, and I tried to go back and fix it. That was turning out to be more trouble than it's worth. So we're going to start all over. So if this video is at all helpful to y'all, or you enjoy the content, please leave a comment or hit that like button. Just move your mouse down there and click it. It will certainly help me. And I really appreciate if you'd subscribe. That would be incredible. And if you want to see more videos like this, these A1 videos, please hit that notification button. Anyway, let's get started here. So, first things first, we're going to rename this computer. So click on your little folder icon, right click on this PC, go to Properties. There's a couple of ways you can do this. You can click Rename this PC, or you can go here. You can even go here and then go back to here. So you click this and then go to this. So there's 80 ways you can skin this cat in here. So we're going to go ahead and change it. I'm going to name mine Lab Core because this is my lab. It's going to be a single domain controller. If you plan on setting up more domain controllers, you can name it Core and then like Node 1, Node 2, Node 3, or whatever you want. Whatever you choose. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and set this, and it's going to reboot. Tell it OK here. Yes. Close. Restart now. Go ahead and pause it till it reboots. Okay, looks like it's back up here. Don't ask me. Yes. Okay. Now let's install Active Directory Domain Services. What we're going to do is go to Server Manager. We're going to add roles and features. Well, as soon as it's done collecting data. Add roles and features. Next. Role-based or feature installation. Next. So we're going to install it on this server. Next. Okay, right here is when you want to select Active Directory Domain Services. Add features. Okay, now in the past, like 2003 and maybe even 2008, I don't remember. I know 2012 on up, you don't have to select DNS server. So I know we're doing 2022 here, but just for future reference, if you ever have to throw up a 2003, well, if you have to throw up 2003, it's completely different than this. But a 2008, I don't know if you have to check that or not. It's been a while since I've done that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So let's go ahead and go next. Go ahead and go next here. We're not installing anything else. Go ahead and go next. Restart the destination server automatically if required. It shouldn't restart because it's going to throw up a little notification here to promote it to a domain controller. See, there it is already. To promote it to a domain controller as soon as this is done installing. So this is going to take a couple of minutes. I'll go ahead and pause it here. Okay, so we've finished configuration here. Well, we hadn't finished configuration. Configuration required. Installation succeeded. So it's installed Active Directory Services. Go ahead and close it. Click the little flag up here. Now we're going to promote this server to a domain controller. We are not adding a domain controller to an existing. We're not adding a new domain to an existing forest. We're going to do a new forest. Now this is where I screwed up last time and had to restart this video. You want to get this correct. Alright. That's the name of my domain. Now if you have a domain name that you want to put it on that you bought from a provider, that's great. If not, you may want to just call this .local. but we're actually going to use this in future videos when we get to setting it up at Cloudflare and getting it on, getting it out to the world for our mail server. So mine's going to be lastportal.net. You don't want to leave a single label name. I don't even know if 2022 will allow you to do it, but that'll just cause major issues down the road. So we're not going to do that. So this is my domain name. You want to do .local or .com or whatever your domain name is, whatever you choose it to be. But if you're going to follow this series, we're going to create a mail server, among other things, and get it on the internet so we can check our mail or do FTP or whatever we decide to do with this. So anyway, this is going to be my domain name. Let me double check it one more time, because you do not want to screw this part up. Okay, it looks good to me. Okay, go next. Okay, it's not going to be a read-only, so put in our password. And 2016 is as high as you can go, so that's what we're leaving it as. Go ahead and go next. A delegation for this DNS server cannot be created because the authoritative parent zone cannot be found. Well, there's not one, so go ahead and go next. It's going to put your NetBIOS name. Now this does not have any, well, this is your local name. It's going to be when you browse, what it's going to find. It's going to be last portal. It does not need the .net here. This is perfectly okay. Go next. It's going to do your log path and your sysball folder, your database folder. Just leave that at all defaults unless you want to change it. Go next. I don't recommend it. Just leave it at default. Everything looks okay. We're going to do our prereq check. It's going to throw up some stuff probably about MT40 still, which is funny, but whatever. Okay, so we're all good. Let's go ahead and install it. You're going to let it run through the installation procedure. It's going to reboot on you. When it gets to that reboot point, or when it has rebooted, I'll restart and we'll log into it. Okay, so it's rebooted. I'm going to go ahead and log into it. Now we're going to log into our domain. So it's going to be whatever you called it, without the dot whatever. Tell it don't ask. Yes. Okay, so we're booted back up. The first time it logs in, this group policy client takes a minute, so I'm going to go ahead and pause it till that's done. Okay, it logged in. I'll go ahead and change some network settings here. I want to set the DNS on it to point to itself. It probably already has done the loopback detector. I'm going to name this to CoreNet. You just highlight it and press F2 like you would anything else. Alright, click on it, go to properties. Okay, we've got our address. Now, if this was an additional domain controller, or, well, being the primary domain controller, let's start with that, we would put the additional domain controller here and the primary domain controller there. Now that's the old school way of doing it. Nowadays they say it really doesn't matter. I still like doing it that way. But we only got one domain controller, so we're going to leave it at this. 151, make sure all our addresses are correct. Okay. Okay. Go ahead and close that. Go ahead and close that. Now let's go to our administrative tools. I'm going to create a couple of shortcuts real quick. Go ahead and pin this to the taskbar, Active Directory users and computers, DNS. Go ahead and click right here so on your domain so it will populate it. Close that. Group policy management we're going to add down there. And event viewer, I think. These are going to be the most common things you use. It's the most common things I use. Okay. Let's go on Active Directory users and computers. Let's create an OU here real quick. Right click on it's going to be a habit. Right click on your domain name. Go to new. And we're going to call this lab admin. These are going to be our administrative users for our lab. Under there, we're going to create another organizational unit called users. And this is mostly for group policy. You don't have to do all this if you've got a really small domain. I mean, it just helps keep things organized. Okay, let's see here. Organizational unit, computers. So if you had a school or something like that, this would be like maybe administration, users, computers, staff, users, computer, teachers, user, computers, students, user, computers. Just create, keep creating those. You wouldn't create them all under lab admin. And of course, you go here and you go new organizational unit, call it staff, and then put that stuff under there. That way, when you come to group policy, you can give them different policies and things of that nature, and they don't get all mixed up. So anyway, we're going to create a new administrator user in here. We're going to call it lab admin. No space. Give it a password. This has to meet the complexity requirements or it's going to fail on you. Go ahead and say cannot change and never expires. Next. Finish. And go ahead and double click on it. Then we're going to add it to a few groups. First one's going to be domain, admins. Next one's going to be administrators. Next one's going to be enterprise. Oops. Enterprise admins. I'm going to add group policy. Schema admins. And I think that's it. So let's go double check our actual administrator and see what settings he has, because we're going to disable this account. So this is really why you want to do this before you do anything. Yeah, it looks the same to me. Okay, let's go ahead and disable this account. Okay, it's disabled. But we're going to go ahead and log out now. And then we're going to sign back into it. Oh, no. Different account, last portal, your domain name. You don't need the dot anything. Lab admin, password. There you go. Because if somebody's going to do like a password hack, a brute force attack, they're going to go for the administrator account and just hammer at it. Unless they've got a list of names that they're going to, go after. But generally they go after the administrator account, so go ahead and get rid of it. And then just create a new administrator account, call it whatever you want. and then go from there. Okay, we're going to go ahead and turn this back off. And this way, again, if you don't, like I did a minute ago, I shouldn't have done that. So I'll show you. We created all these shortcuts down there. Well, that was a waste of time because we'll never use that account again. So let's go ahead and recreate those shortcuts real quick. Missing group policy, I don't know. Okay, so that's basically it. That's really all you need to do to create a domain and start joining computers to it. You got your organizational unit. I'm going to go ahead and create another one real quick. And I do recommend this. It really helps to keep things organized. That's why they're called organizational units. We're going to call this servers because we're going to drag our server in there. So now let's join a computer to it. I'll log into our mail server here, which isn't a mail server yet. We're going to have to go administrator. To the local computer, that's what the // is. So we want to log in locally because it's not a part of the domain yet. Okay. Let's go ahead, and the first thing we want to do is check our DNS because we want it pointed directly at our domain controller. Go ahead and name this the same. I just like it. You don't have to name them anything. This is purely for aesthetics. Go ahead and go to properties. Okay, we're going to change this to 151 because that's our domain controller. So everything we do, picking up our group policies and all that's going to pass through our domain controller, so we want it to look at it first. Tell it okay, tell it okay, close out of here. Now we want to rename it. So go ahead and click on your folder icon, right, same as we did earlier. Right click, go to properties. This time we're just going to click it right there. We're going to call this lab mail. Go ahead and click next. It's going to reboot. Restart now. Okay. Now when this reboots here, well, it shouldn't take that long. So let's go ahead and see. Should only take about a minute or two for it to boot up. There it is. She's already responding. Okay, let's go ahead and log back into it. Now, we're still local, so even though the computer name is wrong up there, it should still get it. Yeah, see, it picks it up. Lab mail now. Okay. So we're logged back in. Now let's join it to the domain. So click your folder icon here, right click this PC, go to properties. Guys, again, there's probably a million ways to do this. This is the way I've done it since Server 2000, so this is just what I'm used to. Go ahead and rename this PC Advanced. I'm going to click change here. Our domain is your domain name. Go ahead and do that. Click OK. Lab admin. Now this is the administrator account that you had set up earlier, so we can join this thing to the domain. If you left administrator enabled, well, that's what you'll be using. And click OK. welcome to the domain. See how it went behind there? It's because I hit enter. If you clicked it, it probably would have been predominant. Then click OK. Must restart. OK. Go ahead and close it. I'm going to go ahead and restart it. Yes, it has. Let's go ahead and get that ping session back up. While we're waiting for that to come up, let's see if it's populated in Active Directory users and computers on the little shortcut we created down there. So let's go to computers. There it is, lab mail. So we're going to drag that, because it's a server, into our server OU. Now, if it was a workstation, you would drag it into your, your organizational unit that it belongs in. This is a server, that's where it's going. But a workstation joining to the domain is no different. Okay, so it had replied there for a second and then timed out. Oh, firewall probably. Okay, tell it okay. Close it. We're going to go to more choices. Use a different account, your domain this time. That is not correct. Lab admin for me. I'm going to go ahead and check this. Remember me, I don't recommend this because it leaves it wide open, so don't do it. But I'm going to be in and out of it so much that it gets annoying. So go ahead and click yes. So we're going to wait for this group policy client, which again, for some reason, every time it's the first time it boots up, takes a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it, and then when it's up, we'll get back to it. Okay, and there it goes. Now she's logging in. Setting up a new user account. Same thing with your servers, guys. You don't want to do a bunch of stuff setting up your desktop until you've joined it to the domain. I just do all of this all the time out of habit anyway. So anyway, that's how you join a computer to the domain. Let's verify that. Type who am I? Last portal, lab admin. So we know we logged in as that. Let's check our computer name. Go ahead and go to properties again. Right here. Full device name. Lab portal, labmail.lastportal.net. And I have a real bad habit of doing capital letters. You may want to just leave that all. It's not really going to hurt anything. It just looks kind of funny. But that's up to you. So go to rename this PC. We can see your domain here. So you should be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and log off. And in this video here, again, please like and subscribe. Hit that thumbs up. Leave a comment. Please subscribe. It really helped me out. Anyway, you guys have a good day.